Hey Victoria, can you request to join? Oh, here we go. I...
That was not a plan. Wait a second. No, how do I change that? Wait a second. What is happening? Oh no. Oh, that's weird. Huh. Because normally it's always the front camera, like the selfie camera. Oh.
Hey everyone,
Hmm.
hold tight for just a minute while we sort out our tech.
Yes. Oh my God. Let me try to send it to you. I'll go out for a sec.
Okay. Dangler!
Yes. No, it worked out. Amazing.
Yay.
Hey.
Hi. Hi
Hey.
Victoria.
Hey.
I'm gonna turn up my volume. How are you?
I am good. I've been moving a little bit and I feel good. I feel juicy. I've been feeling in my body and connected and excited. So, yeah, it's
Amazing.
good.
Well, I'm so excited to talk to you today.
Yeah.
I just want to introduce you to everybody who doesn't know Victoria. Victoria is a feminine embodiment coach. She is an erotic muse. She is an initiatrix of desire. She's an igniter of passions. She's a revealer of truths. She is the embodiment of permission. She's a true fire starter in every sense of the word. And Victoria is going to host a pop up session in my group program, Wild Mystic Feminine, for us, which is starting on April 25th. So if you haven't signed up for that yet, you can still jump on the early bird pricing for that. There's a link in my bio for that. And today I just invited Victoria here to have a chat about Eros. So, yes, super juicy topic of Eros. So, welcome, Victoria. Did I miss anything? Is there anything you want to add to that?
No, I think yeah, the basics are there. So, yeah, like I'm here to liberate the desire to spark this fire in women that is there but has been kind of like forgotten somehow, and to help them be radically themselves in life, in bad and in business. So yeah.
Amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I want to start actually with this question that I get frequently, which is what is Eros? What do we mean when we talk about Eros? Because I think a lot of people, when they hear that term, they immediately think of sex.
Yeah.
So I would love to hear your perspective on this.
Yeah, and I think the question is actually very, it's not, you cannot give a one sentence answer to that, because Eros is just such a multifaceted, like deep, beautiful thing. It's like not like, oh, this is this and that. So what I have found for myself, like how I define that is like there are different kind of like layers to Eros. And one layer that does belong to Eros and that is quite obvious is this layer of like pleasure and juiciness and turn on. And I'm not speaking in like sexual terms. It's not like turn on in the sense of like I want to have sex. Like no, it's a turn on in the sense of like wow, like mm, this does something with me. Like you know, this connection, this food, this those flowers, yeah, like it does something in me. It like does something in my body, like. So, you know, this is like one layer, but the most important layer, or you can say the core of the Eros, is for me intimacy. Like Eros is intimacy. And I would say like it's intimacy with myself first and foremost. It's intimacy with the moment. And if someone else is involved, it's intimacy with this person. Because you know, if we bring those aspects of like what, like, you know, turn on and pleasure, but we forget the intimacy, that we forget the core, the essence, then like there is no Eros. It's just, it's superficial. um and this is what we often see in the society, like Eros that whose soul has been taken out, like sucked out. um so yeah, like the intimacy in terms of like I am being here fully with myself, with all of me, all of the aspects, right? It's like, you know, I'm not I'm not um I'm not saying no to parts of me. I'm not shaming me. But if shame is there, I'm sitting with shame. I'm sitting in the shame. If hate is there, I'm being in this hate. And I'm being in the moment, you know, taking the moment in, not being in my head, which we often are, right? But like, no, I'm being here. I'm like, okay, what's here now? What do I feel? What is this moment calling me for? So like that is what it comes down to for me.
Yeah, I love that. Intimacy with the moment. What do you think is required in the body in order to access intimacy?
Well, it requires some kind of safety and this kind of, you know, being able to hold yourself. Because when we go into the body, or when we are there to meet everything what arises, we need to be ready to hold it, because there is a lot. And so for us, it's important to practice, and to, yeah, to practice meeting those parts of us and feeling our feelings, and to develop this capacity, because it is a capacity. We know that, right? So it's not that you just decide you will be doing that and then you're like, oh yeah, it's easy. Like, no, that's not actually. If you haven't been doing that, that requires practice and commitment. But then, you know, the more it grows, the deeper you can go, like in terms of like feeling your feelings, but also also accessing some kind of pleasure, so because it's correlated.
Yeah, so you're not just talking here, like what I'm hearing is you're not just talking about we're trying on Eros as like a flavor or a role or something, but you're talking about a lot of really deeper layers that are happening in the body, in the system, in order to have this expression.
Yes, because like as I said, for me in the core, it's like the intimacy. Like that's, if you don't have that, if you don't have this intimacy with yourself, with the moment, and with another person, like this deep, raw, real fucking intimacy, then like there is no access to eros. So, and like what you were mentioning is this kind of like, you know, what we often see as this kind of like expression of eros. Like when we think about erotic, what I was also often asking women, right? What what do you think of when you think of erotic? And maybe people who are watching, maybe you can just drop a couple of words, like what is the first word that comes up, you know, in your mind? Like erotic, what do you think of? Like what do you see? What pictures do you see? Because what I often got as a response is like some kind of like shame or fear, or you know, these pictures of naked or half naked women that are like taking those like poses. And And like this is the expression that we see, that we accept it as normal, and that has been fed to us, like, oh, that's erotic, right? And so what happens then is that we, like, I think that all of us, we consciously or subconsciously, we do desire the presence of, you know, of the erotic. And so, you know, sometimes I know, like, for example, women, they would take steps of like, oh, like I would like to, you know, be more sensual and erotic. Like I want that more in my life. So how do I do that? And very often the steps that they take are, for example, well, I go and buy some sexy lingerie, right? I'll like also trying to change their bodies to fit this, you know, this ideal that is being put on us that we also accept. Because then we think like, oh, if my body is like Lena or blah blah blah, then it will be more appealing. I will be more like I will be sexier. Or for example, they go to some kind of let's say like sensual dance courses, like just normal ones that you know find. And but the problem with those all things is that, like, exactly how I said, like there is no soul in them. um and so what happens is that they kind of like try to, like, maybe they learn some kind of movements, and then they try to like, oh, okay, like if I do that, then I'm being like, apparently I'm being some kind of like erotic and sensual. But the core, you know, they are not feeling that. Um they're not being in this energy. They are just kind of like trying to do something in order to be something. But like here, there is no energy, there is no depth, there is actually contraction, because it's like, I don't fucking know what is that, how to do that, like shame, fear, like smallness, like, yeah. And then of course they often they feel frustrated of like, oh, I felt just awkward, or my partner reacted to me in a weird way. And it's like, yes, because he also feels how awkward you feel, right? And he probably just wants to help this weird situation to just become more peaceful, you know? So yeah, like it's deep work. It's not just about, oh, let's put this thing on or do this movement and then we will be erotic and all of the things.
Yeah, so what I hear you saying is that this is about tapping into something that's yours already, that's arising from the inside and being expressed outwards. It's being felt, it's being something that you're touching into that's coming from inside out.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful point what you were saying, because yes, like there is, you know, it's um there is no expression of Eros that is like, oh, this is it, like this is how it's supposed to be. No, like no, it's exactly like you have your expression of Eros, I have mine, and it's only truthful when I like really drop in and I'll allow it to come through me, to just to when I move it the way it wants to move through me. Like it's not about emulating, it's not about trying to be like someone else. No, it's about unleashing this energy and allowing it to move through you. um
Mm-hmm. It seems like there's a lot of excavation that would need to happen around things that have felt denied to us or off limits or not approved, because it seems like even if we're not talking about an outwardly sexual expression, that these energies that you're talking about are they're just so, they feel off limits in a certain way.
yeah, yeah, they're like deeply desired but also very much feared,
Mm-hmm.
because there is a lot of power in them. And you know, and like of course, you know, yes, we were not necessarily talking about some kind of like outward expression, But of course, if you embody those energies, like they are being felt. You know, suddenly you're not, for example, just a mother, but you are like a mother and still sexual radiant being, which often we feel like, oh, I'm not allowed to. You know, the moment I become mother, it's like, whoa, like now I need to be real, like good mother, and like my sexual side is not welcome here. And to bring that back in, it can feel very dangerous. And it's, I think, you know, yes, we came quite far in on our journey, but still in the society we still move very much between those two polarities of being this kind of like innocent or like Madonna and being this kind of like whore. So there is not so much space in between yet, like really. And it's very, very easy to get in the category of like being a whore, or you know, being some, you know, maybe not like whore, but still, you know, being kind of put in this kind of category of like, oh, like she's so expressed, like whatever, people putting all the judgment on you. And this feels dangerous because in core, all of us, we just want to be loved and we just want to belong. And we know that if we move more towards this, like being unleashed, you know, living in this energy, yes, people will feel uncomfortable. People will come with their judgments and they will have something to say. And again, we're coming to the same topic of like, we need to have capacities to hold that, to deal with that. Because if we don't have capacities, then we will probably just, I don't know, kind of like break under this pressure, under this weight of all of these judgments and what people are just projecting onto us. And so, yeah, like we need to develop those capacities to be like, okay, like this is who I am. And if you're not okay with that, well, that's your problem, not mine.
Well, this is making me think of, so one of the fears that I've bumped up in exploring my Eros is if I unleash this, that it might be dangerous, that like bad things might happen
Mm.
if I let this energy out, or like this energy might actually be too big that it will, you know, I don't know, but what might happen if I unleash this energy. So that's kind of maybe the other side of this, but what would you say to that?
Yeah, I think, you know, I think it's very much understandable. And I think, you know, this fear also comes, it's just so understandable because in the end, you know, when we are diving into Eros, like because Eros is something that has been like pressed down, it has been like tabooed. Of course, with that, we are coming to the topics that we were not willing to look at. Like it's just, you know, it's like to expect. Like that's obvious. And of course we're getting scared because I'm sorry, the life that I have built until now, well, this is quite a nice life, most probably, right? And it has some kind of foundation. And so if I'm going into the Eros, which is like I'm going deep fucking down, so where I'm going is to the base of this whole building that I built, right? And and yes, it might be that I will shake the whole fucking thing at its core. And it's dangerous and yes, it creates fear. But, you know, as we were talking about that right before, it's like, yes, you have a choice. You might say, okay, you know what? No, it's too much. I'm fine. I'll just like, no, I'm not going anywhere. I'm not going down. No. Or you say, well, okay, I know it might be dangerous. I know I might just destroy what is there, but I am here for the truth, right? I'm here not for some kind of like half-ass living. I'm not here for some kind of, you know, living according to someone else's truths, or, you know, having this kind of life that is like fine, okay life, right? I want to wake up and I want to build the life that really turns me on, that is truthful. And yes, for that I might need to destroy. And like this is really this is real. And yes, we might lose things, we might have to let things go, but and not saying that this is not painful, you know, not making it like, oh, you know, just do that. Like, no, of course it might be very painful, but that's kind of a cost of, you know, creating the life that is like really truthful and aligned. um if we haven't done it before, you know, if we have been like living according to some kind of bullshit that we kind of like took in unconsciously, which we all did. So
Right, right. Yeah, and you know, I think for me, one of the things that I've discovered in this is that coming into greater contact with my desires and my truth actually has a ripple effect where it's serving something bigger than just myself. It's serving the other people around me. It's serving in a certain way the collective for me to embody my desires more fully. So I wonder if you have any thoughts about that.
you know, I think that when we, you know, when we unleash, when we come to our truth, we just become this walking permission for other people to do the same. And we as society are very much hungry for that. You know, we very much desire that. And so when we see it in other people, it might be very disturbing, because it's like, how dare you, right? How dare you if I'm still sitting in my box? Like, how dare you? So we might attack them and judge them. But it also might be very inspiring and like, oh, wait a second, what is she doing? I'm sorry, that is possible? I didn't know it was possible. I like, no one told me it's possible. No one told me it was okay. So, and she is leading that. So, oh my God, it's possible. And so, yes, this might also serve as some kind of like collective wake up or awakening, or, you know, deepening, remembering.
Hmm. There's a certain way in which when we free ourselves, it frees everyone,
Mm,
right?
yeah, yeah, for
If we
sure.
allow ourselves to stay stuck, then we're kind of keeping everything around us stuck. Yeah.
And the thing is, right, very often we're like, oh, but like I'm doing it for a greater good. Like I'm doing it so that I don't create like conflicts, for example, in my partnership. Like, what a bullshit. Yeah, because I'm just holding myself back. I'm creating those walls between us. I'm not allowing the other person to see me, to see my depth, to see my heart. I'm not allowing this person to know me, you know, and to create like deep nourishing connection. I'm not allowing this person to actually experience him or herself as, you know, a powerful being who is able to hold me in my power and bigness, you know. So it's just really fucked up, but this is how we've been conditioned, this codependency. It's like, oh, I need to do everything so that you actually feel good, that I don't like trigger you or something, instead of, you know, trying to stay as much connected to our own hearts and our own truths and support each other, you know, in this process, instead of like, you know, pressuring each other down and like putting other people in boxes.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, so I want to hear actually more about, I would love to hear more about desire and how Eros is connected to desire. Because, you know, when I hear you speaking about that, I think of like the starving heart. You know, like we sort of abandon our own hearts and our hearts are starving for this thing that we don't allow. You know, we're kind of trying to keep everything in control, and the end
Mm-hmm.
result, because we've abandoned our hearts, is that our hearts are just starving for this nourishment. And so many times, you know, I work with so many women who are so disconnected from their own desire, they don't even know what it is would nourish their hearts. They don't even know what it is they would want. So can you speak to how this Eros is connected with desire, and how do we even find what it is we desire?
Yeah, you know, this is very much connected to what I said before, because like as Eros is something that has been like repressed, so it's sitting like down there. And so when we start excavating, of course, we're coming to those desires, like this true desires. And we're not talking about sexual desires only, like might be, but it's much broader than that. It's like the hunger for something, the longing, you know, the desire, like this want. And basically, like what we often want is just a reflection of, you know, what we learned in our family, what we received from the society. Like you know, like I need to want a home or a partner and like children and, you know, a good job with like good money or whatever, you know. But then because we, you know, we are disconnected to the ears and to our hearts and our bodies, we don't we don't really stop and ask ourselves, is that even true? Is this even my desire? Is that what I really want? And so when we are starting like descending and going down and going to those truths, this is where we are getting in touch with those real desires, right? And again, this can be scary because who knows what is there, right? Who knows, right? What my heart actually desires. And the thing with desire is that often it's easier for us not to know, because the moment I go down and I meet my desire, it's like, oh shit, like now I met it. Before I was like, okay, you know what? Like, I know something is there, but I won't open the door because whatever. I have my life. Like, no, no time for that. But then you open the door and you look this desire in the eye and you're like, shit, now I saw you. Now I know you. And so now it's like in my field. And so now I need to make a decision. Like, what am I going to do with that? You know, am I going to continue with my life and know that there is this desire sitting there waiting for me, wanting to be expressed, but I'm like, no, which can be very painful, right? Or am I being that brave to say, okay, you know what, I'm doing this, like I am going for it. And this can be also dangerous because, right, like if this is some kind of big powerful desire, like who knows, right, it can, what it can bring with itself. So that's why it's, as I said, very often much more convenient not to know and not to go there. Like you
Mm-hmm.
need to be really brave to be like, okay, I'm going there, like I really want to know. Yeah,
Mm-hmm. Once you see it, you can't unsee it.
you can't unsee it. Yes, yes. And as I said, like it can be very painful, but also what can be painful is that, you know, you made a decision, you are going for the desire, and then you kind of you didn't get it. So how painful is that, right? It's like, oh my god, I allowed myself to follow it, but then it's like, you know, it didn't happen, and so now I need to live with this pain. Like, yes, yes, because this is just a part of life.
So if there's so much danger and potential pitfalls, why does anybody want, like, why do you want to take this journey? Why should I not just go, you know, Netflix and chocolate?
Yeah, yeah, you can, right? And this is what most people do. But this is exactly of like, well, like this is about the quality of life. This is about like, yes, you can go and chill and watch your Netflix and eat your chocolate and have your mindless sex and think that you are enjoying your life and go drink alcohol. Um, or you can be like, okay, I want to actually the real thing. I don't want the shallow shit. I want the real thing. I don't want to go search for some kind of like, you know, stimulus to feel something. I want to feel because my body is able to feel, you know? And like yes, for me this is just about the quality of life. This is about, you know, living and surviving. Like you know, like really truly living, or just like, well, like I did not sign up for this, but you sent me here on this weird planet, like whatever, just doing the motions, you know, just going through the day, and like, you know, shitty job, like shitty partnership, but like whatever, fine, you know. So, and yeah, everyone just can make the decision for themselves, and I think it's 1,000 times worth it, you know, to go on this journey and to face the pain and the fear and all what is coming up with that, just because with how much depth um, comes with that.
Yeah, yeah. I know for me personally, and you've really taught me a lot about this, it's about uncovering parts of self and also expanding into my potential, really my potential for a bigger range of expression and
Mm.
experience. And I'm the type of person that I want to kind of drink from all the cups of life, and I want to like try all the flavors, and this is sort of an opportunity to expand in that. And I wonder what it's about for you. Like what has this journey been about for you? Because I assume you didn't just start as this like completely, embodied erotic goddess.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, I started as like fucking traumatized and, you know, like being deep in self-hatred and body hatred and like eating disorder, toxic relationships. Yeah, so you know, I think in its
I think
core,
that's important. I'm sorry to interrupt you, but I just want to call this out because I think it's so important to humanize this, because the image that you see on, portrayed on your Instagram, for example, is just this like powerful, embodied, expression of sensuality and Eros. And I think it's important for people to understand that you didn't just come out that way. You took a long winding journey to get to this point, right?
yeah, right. And you know, the thing is like I didn't come out like that. We all come out like that, right? Like when we pop out of the womb, we
Oh,
come
that's
out
so
like
true.
and like deeply erotic, sensual, connected beings. And then all this shit like flows into our direction, and then we just start contracting, right? And taking the shit in and inhaling it and just, you know, thinking, oh, that's we, like that's how it's supposed to be. And we're just getting smaller and smaller and more contracted and like and so it's actually the journey is like, you know, not to become someone else, but it's like to return to your core. It's about
Mm-hmm.
remembrance, you know, right? It's about peeling the layers of bullshit that, you know, we accepted, and like, you know, allowing this kind of like flower of our essence to like bloom more and more and more, right? And so yeah, my journey was definitely like not, you know, not a quick one, not an easy one, because you know, like so much trauma and like like yeah. Um, but what was the question?
What is this about for you?
Yeah, yeah.
Eros, embodying
So,
Eros.
you know, I think for me it's about it's actually about all of those layers, because I just feel so curious to unleash more of what's true in me, you know, to unleash the Viktoria, like who is like who I am in my core, you know, not the one that I've been conditioned into, not the one that I am because of my trauma, but like who is this, like, you know, free embodied, like in the relaxed body, in this regulated nervous system Viktoria, you know. And yeah, so it's about like reclaiming and untaming and remembrance and deepening. Um, yeah, yeah, and it's like, you know, I think a lot for me is also kind of, you know, seeing it as like how many flavors can I actually unleash and embody, right? Because we just have so many flavors. It just we're just so tasty, and there's so many flavors, and what often happens is that we just have those one, two flavors, we're like, oh, I'm a mother, like I know how to play that. I play it even with my partner, like whatever. The mom is the good one, like I know this role, right? Or we're like, okay, like I'm this like boss, whatever. Like, you know, when I'm in my company, like I can just, you know, tell people what to do, like blah blah blah. But then, you know, but then we cannot access our hearts and be vulnerable. We cannot access some kind of like Eros, or like being a seductress, like playful seductress. We cannot access some kind of like very easeful childlike energy, you know, or being a healer, whatever. And this all is accessible. We just need to be like, oh, like let's go and see like what is still there, like what can I, you know, embody deeper, like what can I, like what flavor of me is still there and wants to be expressed. And so I think this is a very juicy journey, you know, to be like, oh, like what is still there, like what can I try on today, what can I embody on a deeper level.
Right.
um
And when you're talking, like, what I'm thinking is you're not doing this for your partner. Because when we hear when I hear Eros, I think when a lot of people hear Eros, they think I'm doing this so that I can seduce my partner or so that I can offer him or her something. But you're talking about something different here.
yes, like yes, you're not doing it for someone, you are doing it because the more flavors you access in yourself, um the juicier you feel. Like it's like I don't know, it's like you can see yourself as this like mosaic or whatever, you know, you just like there are so many parts of you, those little parts. And then if you just access one or two of them, then you can see yourself as this like being that is like just like whatever in gray. And then there are like one, two, three parts that like have some kind of colors, and that's it, because this is just your two goes to, right? But then when you start accessing it, then you like become like magnetic and radiant, and it's yes, it's for you. And then like of course, you know, the more you unleash, the more you like integrate, then of course it has an influence on people, how they receive you, how they react to you. But that's not the reason. You are not doing it for your partner, you're doing it for yourself, like because this is your devotion to yourself, because this feels juicy and beautiful. um yeah.
Yeah, so what are we doing with this energy? Like, yes, we could bring this into a partner situation. We could bring this to into the bedroom to kind of open a new portal in the bedroom, but what else? Like, why else would we embody this? What else can we do with this energy?
Oh my God, like it's everything. It's like everything. Because as I said, you know, in its essence is it's our connection to our hearts, it's our connection to the moment. And so it doesn't matter what you do. Like if you were, for example, raising your child, right, and you are being connected with your erotic essence, you are being connected with your heart, you are being connected with those like beautiful juicy energies, like you are coming from a different place. You are not coming from a place of like, oh, you're a little human being there, and I just like, you know, we have this hierarchy and I just need to put you on your place or whatever. Like, you know, you are actually coming from a place of like, oh wow, there is a human being there, and we're in some kind of like connection here. So how can I make this connection like more deep and beautiful, right? And the same with business. It's like it's not about like being in your head and thinking about, oh my God, like what do they need, like what can I do, what is my next steps. It's like, oh, okay, what wants to come through me, like what would be so juicy for me to do and to bring into the world that I cannot wait. I cannot wait doing that, right? And again, it's like it's again about me, it's not about those people. Yes, they will profit from it, like it's going to be for them, but in the first place it's actually for me, because I'm just enjoying that so deeply. And because through also kind of birthing this work, I'm also reclaiming and integrating some parts of myself on a deeper level.
Mm-hmm.
So
Mm-hmm. So you're actually talking about bringing this Eros forwards in you know, all kinds of different situations in your life, like you talked about in your mothering with your child, to bring this Eros, or in your business to bring your Eros forward. So what does an outward expression of Eros look like other than sexual? How might this look outwardly expressed?
You know, like I would, because I think the tendency would be now to be like, you know, this is about particular like actions or what we could do or something, but like in the essence it's about what we feel, you know, how I'm being with myself, how I'm like, you know, if I'm feeling connected, if I'm feeling connected with the moment and with my heart, and I find like pleasure and beauty everywhere, like this is the energy that I'm bringing out into the world. And this is, you know, this is how people also react to me, like, because in the end they feel safe with me, they feel magnetized to me, right? Because, you know, the safety comes because, okay, like I'm fine with my feelings, I'm fine with what's happening here. And then there is this aliveness, and people are also drawn to that because we're just missing that so like so deeply, you know, this aliveness, this kind of like, oh my god, the energy is flowing. um so I think first and foremost it's about, you know, like embodying this energy for yourself. And you can also even, you know, if you want to, you can be like, okay, so today I want to play with those energies more. Like, you know, you can be like, okay, how can I play with those energies more, how can I bring them out more, you know, and again in a more like a playful um way, right? But in the end it's about being, it's about feeling, it's about being in the energy. It's not about like, oh, let's do this one thing and then, right?
So less about what you're doing and more about how you're being.
Yeah.
Yeah, totally. So I want to drop this question, which is kind of turn us in a bit of a different direction, but why is this relevant right now when the fucking world is burning around us? Should we not be out like doing some kind of activism, or why is this relevant?
Well, this is an incredibly beautiful question. And, you know, I think what I want to start with is actually the reason why the fucking world is burning is because we are disconnected. Like, this is actually the reason. Like, if we would be connected to our core, to our essence, you know, to this aliveness inside of us, this fucked up shit would not be happening. This fucked up shit is only happening because this deepest essence, this vulnerability, this like real aliveness, like it's frozen inside of us. There are all of those layers. There is this armor that we are wearing, you know, we put layers and layers of it, and we are protecting ourselves. And like it's just so thick, like no one can fucking reach this deep vulnerable core inside of us. And so this is, and then of course things like that are happening because people feel disconnected, and they're searching for some kind of like some kind of love or some kind of like hate for fucking something, to feel something. So like I think this is just like what we need to think about. Like this is why things are happening, and this is why we need to be doing this work. This is why we need to be going in. This is why we need to be feeling. We need to be so brave, you know, to feel and to be vulnerable and to open our hearts and to show other people that like, look, like, yes, like I'm being vulnerable and you can be too, and let's do this together. um so, you know, this is the first thing. And also what I think, you also mentioned activism, and I think a very important point that does not, you know, that we don't often mention is that what I see in the activism very often is that people come from the energy of anger. And anger is a very precious emotion to work with, because anger can be a very like crazy fuel, you know, for change. It's like we unleash the anger and then we're like, fuck, I'm going for it. Like I will fucking burn it down. I will change it. I will fight for it. And you know, it's a very beautiful energy, and like it was needed. Also, we saw it in the history. Like it was needed. It is needed, but I think there is a huge but in this whole thing, because very often this energy, it's just this kind of fiery, angry energy, and we are coming from the place of judgment, from a place of separation, from a place of hate, and we're just, you know, creating those two groups, like I'm the good one and you're the bad one. And because of that, like, you need to change, you are wrong, like I want to shame you. And like this does not, it just does not create change. This creates more separation, more shame, more pain. And so I think this is exactly why it is also so important for us actually to go deep and to, you know, connect with our hearts and with our pleasure, and to you know, to be regulated. And yes, we can still come from its place of like, this is fucked up, like we need to change it, this is fucked up. But I'm not coming from a place of like, I hate you, I want to destroy you because you are wrong and I'm right, because you are bad and I am good. Like I'm coming from a place of like, well, this is fucked up, and like this should not be like that. And but I also see the humanness in you, because in the end we're all humans, and we all do fucked up things and we make mistakes, and we need to also to, you know, come from this place of like compassion and love to create some really lasting change, because shame and hate and separation, they do not create lasting change. And so I think this is also just one of the big reasons.
Yeah, I love that. What I'm hearing you say is that working to embody this Eros is actually a form of activism in and of itself. It is a type of activism. It is a way of kind of orienting ourselves in a different way to the world and to the problems of the world.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, it's not about like, oh, let's just like be in pleasure and whatever, nothing else matters, right? It's actually about, you know, yes, I want to be connected with myself and with my heart, and through that also with hearts of other people and with the heart of the world, let's say. So yeah, I don't know, it's just, I think it's a beautiful question, because it's actually quite painful, you know, to be talking about that, because I know that those people who are, you know, being on the front lines kind of like, and like fighting for something, you know, they think they're fighting for a good cause, they're doing something good. And we see it also a lot in the like social justice movement, like a lot, which is like such an important movement. But like, oh my god, there is just so much pain and so much judgment and so much like you are wrong and I'm good. And like in the feminist movement still a lot of that is happening. Like it's like men are bad, they're fucked up, they did fucked up things for to us, and so they need to change, they need to suffer even, and we need to punish them because they are less than. And it's not about like, whoa, we suffered, but actually, I mean, they suffered too. We're here, you know, not like on some kind of hierarchy. So let's just see how we can come together and change this fucked up shit that we together created. Like, okay, we created it kind of like together. So let's just see how we can change that instead of pointing fingers and being like, you are the bad one and I'm the good one. So I'm not doing anything. You need to do everything.
Yeah. Coming into the depths of the heart like that, it can be very clarifying, right? Like about what needs to happen and about what the truth is, and about, I love what you said about connecting to the hearts of others and also connecting to the heart of the world. that's very clarifying. It's very, you know, gives you this clarity about not being confused, not being
Mm.
fucking confused about what needs to happen next and what needs to come through.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Love that. Yeah, not being confused. Yeah.
Yeah. So, how do we begin this journey of getting unstuck?
Well, I think, the work begins where we say, like, I want that. I want the changes. And it starts with this kind of commitment and devotion to me being like, okay, I will just sit and I will just feel and I will just breathe and I will just be there with my body, right? And with my heart, because our hearts are just so, they've been forgotten. Okay, they're just like, when we connect with our hearts, most of the time there's just so much pain of like, where have you been? Like, where have you
Totally.
been? Okay, yeah. So, and this is where the work starts. It's like coming back to ourselves and showing ourselves, our hearts, our bodies that, look, I know I've abandoned you, but I'm coming back. Like, I'm coming back, and I want this connection, and I want the truth, and I'm ready to face what comes with it. And as I said, it's a commitment, it's a devotion, and it's a path that we're choosing to go, and it's never ending. It's like, okay, I will walk this path. And yeah, basically also, like, exploring your feelings, diving there, seeing how I can feel more, getting support. I mean, this is a lot what we are also doing, right? Going through this frozen tension in our bodies, and like letting go of those layers to come back to our hearts, to our truth. um and speaking of ears, like, just particularly of some kind of like erotic flavor, um it's also, it's we can also start with just so little small things about, like, just touching my body. Because, like, most of the time we touch our bodies just because we need something from our bodies, like, oh, I need to clean my body, or I need to, like, scratch something. Or a big one is like, I want an orgasm from my body, so I want my body to deliver something for me. I'm like, you own me this thing, bitch, like, give it to me. Like, really, this is the energy that we often come in, like, towards our body. And when I first got in touch with this energy, I was crying, I was weeping, because I was like, and I was already on my embodiment journey for like maybe 2 years, I don't know. And I was like, wow, this is so painful. I've been treating my body like with so much entitlement, with so much like, you owe me something, like, give it to me. And it's just painful. And just, coming back to the body with like, oh, wow, like, you are here, like, wow, let's just get in touch with each other. Like, how can I actually enjoy you more? Like, how can I just, like, take you in more, this connection? And it's like really just about like, okay, how can I, like, just touch and just feel like, oh, how is that actually to just, like, touch my arm, my fingers, my face, and bringing this energy of like, how would I touch a lover? Because very often we're like, oh my God, and just giving all of the love to someone else, but, like, right? But not, um, but there is nothing left for me, right? But being like, no, okay, like, how would I touch myself if, like, if I would touch myself, like, as a lover, right? And playing also with different flavors, something like very, very gentle, something more like earthy, like, like, oh, how is that? And just playing with that and just breathing in and enjoying that and seeing what happens. Like, very simple things, but when we do them on a regular basis, they're just so, so, so powerful.
Mm, I love that. I feel like that might be hard for some people to access if they don't feel a lot of self-love to begin with. They feel a lot of judgment towards self and, ooh, I wish that I was different, or that maybe don't even can't even touch that current of self-love.
Well, yes, but this is where, you know, the deeper work needs to happen, because we cannot go from self-hate to like, oh my God, I'm in love with myself and I'm so erotic. Like, no, we need to go, you know, little steps. It's like how I also started, you know. I also did not go like, oh, like 1 month and I'm here. No. Like I started like from thinking that I'm the most horrible person and that I'm like all of the bad things, from like, okay, wait a second. What if I just stop telling myself that I'm as bad as that? What if I just for a fucking moment when I stop saying that to myself? So this was the first step actually, to be like, okay, wait a second. I think this is way too harsh. I don't want to be saying that to myself, right? And then going deep and like healing the wounds, you know, and like working on, yeah, on all of this pain that I've been carrying in my body, and like bringing those parts back. Like in the essence, the work is like, instead of denying those parts of us and hiding them, it's like, oh, okay, yeah, I see you. Okay, come back. Like, let me hold you, right? Let me pour some love in you, instead of like, you again, I hate you, like disappear, like don't destroy my life, I don't want to see you, why are you again here, right? It's like, oh my God, friend, you are here again. Okay, okay, come here. Oh my God, like what do you have to say? Okay, let me hold you, let me just pour some love into you. Like I was hoping we will not see each other, but like here you are again. Fine. That's the process, but I also know it just does not come from like, oh, okay, you know, it's a commitment. It's yeah, it's a process. It's a process, and we just need to start somewhere, and just,
Mm-hmm.
you know, do little steps, not like trying to, okay, let me just jump over there and just skip those steps. Like, no, you want to do a deep work. So yeah, just move as slow as you need to.
Mm-hmm.
Like, right, as they say, like move as slow as the slowest part of you is ready to move, kind of like
Yeah.
don't skip what needs to be felt, what needs to be looked at. um don't expect big results. Like, stay with subtleties.
Yeah.
Subtleties are so important, so important. Like, you know, also in my work, in my personal work, and in the work with women, this is what I see. It's very often those little things that help enormously, but then you also need to be doing that, you know. It's like sitting there and holding my heart, because my heart is contracting and I cannot really breathe, like, for example, what I know for myself. And instead of judging me, instead of being like, what do you want? Like, why? Because most of the time when this is happening, it's difficult for me to find a concrete reason of like, oh, okay, this is happening, or this happened, that's why my heart is contracting, that's why I feel not safe. Most of the time, even now, I cannot find the reason, like consciously. So, but I don't need to. What I need to do is to be like, oh, I see my heart. I cannot really breathe well. Something is happening there. Okay, so let me just go and stay with my heart. And sometimes it's like 15 minutes. And I do it like every time, like being with a partner, I'm like, oh, my heart is doing that thing. I need to breathe. And then I'm breathing and he's holding me. And like last time I told you I was at the ecstatic dance. And instead of dancing, I spent 1 hour on the floor, actually just moving very, very subtly and breathing in my heart, and then crying, because my heart was like, hey, like I need your attention. I'm not okay. I'm not good. Right. And so those moments, this is where we bring like deep, deep, deep healing, because these are the parts of us that somehow were rejected. They were wounded, and they never got the love and attention. And if we continue denying them and being like, I don't want to see you, don't come and destroy my life, like, why? I want to dance now, why the fuck are you here? Like, this is what we do. We just create more pain and more separation. And when we just meet them with this like love and acceptance, it's like exactly when the healing is happening. This is like this love is pouring it, and this part of us that feels like, oh, I'm not allowed to, like, no one wants me here. It's like, oh, it's fine. Oh, no one is actually hurting me. No one is rejecting me. Like, it's fine. I can kind of like start melting, you know? I kind of start opening. So yeah, that's like deep work.
This is so valuable, I think, for people to hear your actual process and like the reality of what this means to do this work. And so valuable also, I think, for you, what you're pointing out, that we don't need to understand at the level of the mind always what's happening. The body has its own processes that we don't have to. In fact, the minute that we pop up into the mind to think, what's happening here? Why is that? What does it mean? When did it happen? And what da 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 da? We abandon the body. We abandon the heart. So it's actually not important for us necessarily to understand that at the level of the mind.
Yeah, you know, I think sometimes it might be helpful just to kind of like, especially to see, oh, like, you know, the particular trigger is happening in those moments. So maybe I can take care of myself before this trigger, or, you know, to see those patterns. But like what we tend to do is to be like, oh my God, I need to figure it out. You know, there is this like, I cannot trust the process. I cannot trust my body. It's all fucked up. So I need to find the reasons, because then I can control, then I can hold onto something, then I can put something in the box and like, oh, okay, I understood that thing. And then we just don't do anything with that. But like, in the end, it doesn't fucking matter, because what is much more important is to meet this part and to be with it and to feel it with love. And who cares why it's there?
Right.
In the
We
end, if you think about a child that is coming to you crying, like, what is your intent? Like, what do you like? What would be more important to you? To be like, wait a second, stop crying. Like, stop crying. Tell me why. Like, I need to understand. Like, would that be your main priority, or would it be your priority to be like, oh my God, baby, come here, let me hold you. Let me show you that you are fucking safe and you're loved, no matter what happened there. Like, let me just, you know, show you that everything is fine and I'm here for you. This is what you would do with a child, and this is what you need to do with those parts when they show up.
Yeah. When we understand, we feel in control, but actually nothing is happening. Nothing is
Yes,
moving or changing.
exactly. And this is such a mind trap. It is such a trap, because we think like, I'm so smart. Oh my God, I'm so smart. I figured it out. Like, finally, right? But like, okay, so now what? Right? And
Yeah.
this is, I remember in one post I wrote about it, it's like mental masturbation. It's like, because you're just coming back to this point, like, oh, I understood that. Oh, this thing is happening. Like, I know. But like, okay, you know, and so what's now? Like, what are you doing with that now when it's happening? Like, how can you like move with that? How can you like go on a dance with that?
Mm-hmm.
Instead of just being like, ah, I just put it on the box there. We're cool here.
Mm-hmm.
No.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I feel like this is probably mind-blowing for some people, that all of this has to do with embodying Eros, because we have talked about so many things that don't seem like they're directly related to Eros, to the
Yeah.
erotic.
Yeah, but it's like, yes, it is all connected, because as I said, like, Eros is in its core, like the intimacy, the depth, the aliveness. And at the same time, it's like, you know, I think it's again also the topic of like, even in those moments when those parts of us come up, right? Like, what we often do is like, oh, okay, I will go, you know, I will go in the process, but I'm like, again, this thing is here. Like, when will I finally enjoy my life? And like, when will I start going through processes, right? And this is for some people who are already like on their path. And it's again, it's like, look, you don't have to see it as a burden. You can see it as the moment of aliveness. Like, this is the moment where life is moving through you. And you can either see it as a burden of like, again, or you're like, oh my God, like, look at that life moving for me right now. Like, wow, let me just move with it the way it wants to move through me, not the way I want to kind of, you know, what I want to do with it. Like, no, I'm letting go and I'm moving with life. And so this has a lot to do with Eros, because this is this connection to the moment, and this is about also finding the enjoyment in the moment. And when I'm fighting the moment, when I'm fighting the reality, like, there is no enjoyment. And when I'm like opening up, like, oh, okay, I'm feeling rage, let's dance with that. Like, I'm feeling grief, whoa, okay, let's go into that. And after I felt my grief, let me maybe move my body in some kind of like sensual way, right? And just feel myself more, instead of just being like, okay, I moved my grief, okay, it's like, what's next? You know, like, how can I bring actually more pleasure into my processes, into like just daily moments?
Yeah, so like it sounds like grief and rage and all of these other flavors are actually part of the fabric of Eros itself.
Yeah, for
They're not
sure.
something that we do that we have to like get over, get past to get to the Eros.
Yeah, because I also hear like it's connection to the moment. So when I'm saying yes to that, when I'm like, look, I'm open, life come and flow through me. Like, I'm not trying to control. I'm here to let life flow through me. And this is like, this can be enjoyable, because this is where I surrender. This is where I say yes to life. This is where I start, you know, rejecting and denying and trying to, you know, like, create something like, how do you say that, yeah, just fighting the reality basically. But the moment I accept it and I'm like, okay, like, this is it, like, I'm here for it, right? And this is I remember in one of the groups that I was leading, it was our kind of like thing where we were saying like, I want I want to have the whole cake, like, you know, the whole fucking cake. I'm not sitting here and I'm like, yes, this please, and yeah, this is also good, but no, 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 we're not taking that. Yes, please, I want happiness and joy and love, gratitude, but those things there, shame, guilt, pain, grief, hate, nah, no, thank you. Nah, nah. And so, like, no, it's not possible. You either say yes to a whole fucking cake, or you, like, no.
Yeah. Well, maybe you have this experience too, but it's very common, I feel like, in some of the people that I work with, where they really come and they want to taste this juicy, magnetic pleasure, Eros. They want to like embody all of these rich energies. And then as soon as we drop into the body, they find out there's a lot of fucking pain and
Yeah,
all the anger and all the tenderness that you haven't looked at for 15, 20 years or maybe your entire life. It's there. And it's like, oh, I have to look at that. When am I going to get to the good stuff? When am I going to be the embodied erotic goddess?
this is so good. Oh my God, this is so good that you're bringing it in. And I mean, we've been talking about that because this is real. This is what's happening in your work and in my work. People are like, can we skip this? Like, well, what is that? I don't want that. Like, those problems, can we just like, can we already like start working on like eros and pleasure and like all of the juicy things? But I'm sorry, this just does not work like that. This is basically what I said at the beginning. Like, yes, you can go, for example, to some kind of like dance course, like sensual dance course, and you will be just doing the motions and the movements, but the soul is not there. You know, you're not bringing in the soul. So if you want to embody whatever on a deep level, let's say Eros and pleasure, you will need to meet everything what is being in between. So you are being here, your like most like powerful expression of Eros is being here, and you do not decide what happens on this road, because all those things that are here, they need to be felt, they need to be seen. And it's not like you cannot be like, okay, whatever, let's just jump here. No, they are still here, they're still waiting for you. And if you want to get here, you need to be willing to walk this path, and you don't know how long it will take. It's not like, oh, let's just do one session and then, like, no, because it all depends on your life, what you have taken in, like how much trauma you carry in your body, like how much conditioning, you know, like how sensitive are you, like all those parts. And yes, if body is bringing in the same topic that you're sick looking at, well, you either look at it or you say, well, okay, I'm just not ready for the work, so I'll just go and play the victim maybe. Like really, because like this is it. You need to be just ready for what's there, because it's
Yeah.
not yours to choose.
Yeah.
Like you can choose the goal, but like what's in between, it's not yours, like, to
Yeah.
choose.
And I love what you said before about the aliveness. I think that is such an important point, that when we're dropping into these maybe more kind of negative or undesirable energies, that there is a certain kind of aliveness there, that we can actually reframe this in a certain way of, there is something really fucking delicious about your
Mm-hmm.
rage, about your grief, about your tenderness.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I think especially for people who've been, you know, quite numb, well, that's also where they can start like, oh my God, look at that. There is some aliveness. Like, wow, right? And again, the words that we're using, like you said, negative, and then you use the other words, like less desirable, right? Because I'm also not using the word negative, because like this is how we are programmed also, like, oh, there are positive emotions and there are negative. And negative mean we don't want to have them. And this means when they come, we need to do everything to get rid of them as quick as possible. Like, you know, moving up on the spiritual ladder and just love and light, right? And no, this is not how we work. This is not, you know, this is not how we see aliveness, right? And um, so you know, like we need to stop putting, you know, like those emotions in this kind of like, oh, those are good or those are bad, like those are positive and those are negative. No, like yes, they feel less desirable most of the time, because I mean it's understandable. Of course, we all would love to feel kind of more love and happiness and whatever. um but they are not bad per se, they are not negative, they are just feelings. That's it. Feelings that wants to be felt. They don't want to destroy you, they don't want anything bad, and they just want to be seen and felt. And when we, you know, when we allow ourselves to see it as that, then yeah, then it also it becomes it's just a totally different thing. It's not something I need to fight, it's just something I need to feel, right? So it's
Mm-hmm.
completely different. And this is an expression of aliveness. Doesn't matter what is this, like pain, happiness, like grief, rage, anger, gratitude.
Yeah. In my mind, this is such a key part of feminine magnetism, because when we're holding in our body a yes, that is
Mm,
magnetic. When we're holding in our
mm,
body a radical like yes to life,
yeah.
that is fucking magnetic. That is, you know, that draws more to us. If we're holding a no in our body, it's very
Yeah, exactly. And this is how exactly how you showed it, right? And you showed it in a very like, you know, exaggerated way. But this is how our bodies are very often are, and this is how we often feel those energies. It's like you come in contact with someone and you just feel they are like guarded. They are guarded. Like, to get to their heart, it's like, is someone there? Like, something happening there, right?
Hello.
Yeah, right. And then we come with contact with someone who is like, I am feeling like what? I'm like, I'm just allowing those feelings to move through me and I don't feel any
Open.
shame. Right. Yeah. This is that, as you said, this is magnetic. This is alluring. This is like, because it's also because, in the essence, we all desire that. Of course, we all desire this aliveness. And when we feel it in someone else, we're like, wow, that, like, wow, what's that, right? So of course we feel attracted and magnetized. It's totally understandable.
Yeah. Victoria, I want to wrap us up here pretty soon, but I want to know, what do you want people to take from this?
Well, I think I really want to people to take that feeling your, like, all what's there, it's just one of the biggest gifts you can give to yourself and to the world. Like, allowing yourself to be vulnerable and feeling and going into the depth and allowing it to move through you, and like really see it as a gift to yourself and to other people. And just, in terms of like this kind of like more bold self-expression and like walking our path, um I think just this very important notion, like idea, that you you cannot just sit here and wait for someone to give you the permission, right? You cannot just sit here and wait until the circumstances are perfect, until everything is like, oh, it's safe, like I checked it all, okay, it's safe for me to move on, like no one will judge me, no one will, like, no, like you cannot wait for that, because you will wait until you die. So, and it will still not happen. So if you want to, change your life, if you want to make any changes, like you need to be able and willing to move and to deal with what comes towards you, the judgment and whatever. But you are doing this for yourself, you are walking the path, and like you are saying yes to yourself, you are giving yourself the permission, because no one will give it to you, no one but you. This is your job. So I think this is very important just for us all, to remind even ourselves again, like, right, this is me, no one else, no one else. I don't need a permission from no one, my own. This is the only thing I need. So yeah, just maybe like that is a very important reminder.
That is such an important point that I want to repeat again what you just said. No one is coming to give us our Eros. No one is coming to give us permission to
Yeah.
reclaim this. It's up to us.
Yeah. Yeah. It's up to us. And as I said, the more we do that, the more we also give other people permission to do the same. And when we sit here and just wait for something, like nothing will change, nothing will happen. We need to be those pioneers, those like, okay, I'm fucking doing this, and taking everything what comes with that. But it's worth it.
So worth it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else you want to share with us?
Well, not necessarily. I mean, I'm super excited to be in your program. I think it's going to be super, super juicy. So I am very excited for women who will be joining. And I actually already have done one of your practices. I've been joining with one of your archetypes. And I mean, like, I am a practitioner myself, right? I'm deep in this stuff, and I was still like, oh my God, this is so delicious. The transmission was just so fucking delicious. It just went so deep in my body, in my bones. I was just, who is this woman? Like this woman who is my dear friend and just like my fellow witch. Who is this talking? It was just so deep and so there's so much wisdom. I was like, wow, I just love this mystical woman that you are. This facet that you embody on a very deep level. Like this is what you have, like this mystical aspect, which is like so beautiful and so deep and so exquisite and unique. And yeah, so like just super excited for women who will join and journey and explore those archetypes, because all the archetypes that you have chosen, they're just like, I start salivating when I hear them. I'm like, so I'm sure women will profit like on such a deep level. Like doesn't matter if they're just stepping on the, you know, on the path of embodiment, or they've been on the journey for a while. Like you will definitely take a lot from that. So like, oh,
Oh my
very
gosh.
excited.
Thank you so much for saying that. Those are such huge compliments coming from you. Just really touches me deeply. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah,
And
of course.
oh my gosh, I'm so excited to share your magic with these women as well. So everyone just come and join us and jump in here, receive Viktoria's magic, receive the potent container that this wild mystic feminine is becoming,
Yeah.
and all of these amazing women who are going to journey with us together.
Yeah, and you know, I also think it's just like you and I, we have also similarities, but we also have differences. We have some very different flavors that you are extremely good at, and then what I'm extremely good at. And I think like just like bringing me into this container is also just bringing some different energies. So I think it's just like incredibly beautiful, and just also very grateful and excited about the journey.
Oh my gosh, it's going to be so potent and magical. Super
Yes, yes,
exciting.
yes, yes.
Well, thank you so much for coming to chat with us today, Viktoria. This was
That was so
such a powerful
lovely.
conversation.
It was so deep and so many layers like that we touched upon, like so beautiful. And for everyone who's been here, like thank you. And if you have any questions and watching the replay, like please, please, please feel free to ask the questions, share your experiences, share your takeaways, like whatever you want and need. Like we'll be super happy to hear from you. Yeah.
Yes, thank you for saying that. Viktoria, where can people find you and get more?
Yeah, so like you can find me on my Instagram. Basically, the best way is actually to just send me a DM, because like I'm offering right now, I'm offering either one-to-one sessions of like one-off sessions where we dive deep and you know explore whatever you want to, like your erotic kind of side, your like your bad bitch, your like inner fire. Um, so you know I work a lot with like Eros and radical permission and with those energies. And yeah, or you can join me on a deeper journey for like 3 months. And in case someone is listening from Germany, like things will be happening in Hamburg soon, like live. So it's like brewing inside of me, but I will be definitely offering things live soon. So
Oh my gosh, what I wouldn't give to be in one of your live spaces.
yeah,
I send
I
my
am.
clients to Viktoria. So my client, Viktoria, has held my clients and me as well. So highly recommend if you want to play more in these Eros energies, in the aliveness and the radiance and the magnetism, to go
Yeah, and
and
the
check out
permission.
Viktoria's work. Yeah.
Thank you, my dear. Yeah.
Yes, of course. All right. Thank you so much. Sending you so much love. Mwah.
Yes.